Hey there!
I'm Sunny.
I'm Skylar.
And together,
We're Crushcast, aka the Vixens of Crush Publications.
Join us today for another fun time with Crush.
Hi there! It's best-selling authors Sunny A. Morgan and Skylar Quinn coming together to discuss the joys of erotica and literature. Today's topic we're going to talk about is friends and family and our online personas.
And today's sponsor is Ranch Hand. He is a multi-genre fiction author who loves transgressive satire and dark fiction. You can find him on Amazon.
Alrighty, are you ready to dive into this sensitive topic?
Yeah. But first, don't you have some new releases coming out?
Oh, I do have some new releases. I forgot all about
Yeah,
that.
I'm so glad that it was you this time.
So November 1st, I released my holiday special for Cheating Husbands. And because I love that series that I have, so I did a little one for the holidays. And then November 8th, I have my holiday special number 2 for Thanksgiving. So I had my first one last year, and so this one is just kind of not a follow-up, but sticking in the same series. What about you?
I have, it is the third book in my library sex club series. Taking Willow
Ooh.
will be out. Yes. And then I also had, will release the week after that, the 2+1, and it's a holiday throuple kind of relationship. So yeah,
We got some sexy books coming out.
yeah, that's exciting.
It is. So now back into the topic.
There we go. Now our topic.
Now on topic. So do we want to talk about you or me first on how we developed our online personas?
I mean, I don't really care. I mean, we can just kind of talk it out. I mean, if you want me to start, that's fine.
I think you should start since I'm here because of you.
Yes, you are. Well, I mean, we've done this for well over a decade, and we've said this. Yeah, we've been professionally writing for over a decade. We dipped our toe in erotica many years ago.
Many years ago.
We weren't really comfortable with it.
It was very different than it is today.
Yeah, we weren't comfortable with like our families knowing, our friends knowing, us knowing, well, us not us knowing, but like letting people see us and know that it's us. So,
well, and even you and I too, because it was still kind of taboo what we were writing and what we were reading. We weren't completely as open and honest as we are today about our joys, our not so fun stuff.
Yeah. So it was completely different then, but like a couple of it's not quite 2 years, but
almost
it's almost 2 years. I wasn't working anymore and thought I wanted to focus on writing full time. And that was, something that I had been planning for a while, and it just kind of happened sooner than I had anticipated, but just because of some personal things. And I was like, I'm going to give this a try because I like reading it and I enjoyed writing it. I just wasn't comfortable putting it out. So I did it. I just went over like how I'm going to come up with who I am. And so I came up with Sunny, and she is this version of me that I was when I was younger. She's very free and open, and over the years, that kind of as you get older and you get a little more jaded, unfortunately, kind of disappeared.
As life happens.
Right. But I wanted to bring her back because I missed that part of me. So she helped me come back to where I was. In the beginning, I did not show my face. I barely talked to anybody when I was writing it. I think it took a little while before I told you that I was doing it.
You did. I remember the first time you emailed me, you're like, don't judge me for what I wrote. And you had I was like, what's wrong with this? This is a great story.
Yeah.
Like, except my best
Um,
friend wrote it. That's it. That's the only thing that was wrong with it.
yeah. So it was just, so yeah, it took a while for me to feel comfortable with that. And then I just started writing more. I took a course on erotic writing and I was like, all right, I'm just going to do it. And took the shield off, put my profile picture up there,
Rip that Band-Aid
started,
right off.
started I met some people on Twitter, which made it
Wasn't
easier.
Ranch one of the ones that
Yeah,
helped you come out of your shell?
um, he was, he was one of them. Sonia was a big one that really helped me in the beginning uh, with her publication. And so I just started talking to people and writing and saying, all right, we're going to do this. And I did. It's, I mean, obviously, we've kind of came a long way from hiding it to here we
Right?
are doing twice a month this podcast talking about writing erotica and sex and so and all the other things that we do. So yeah, it's we've came a long way. And then I dragged you and
Wonderful decision. Wonderful decision.
dragged you in with me because you needed it and I missed my friend.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, and and you picked the name, so like the name had nothing to do with me at all, which my daughter loves. And uh and I wanted to make sure that I hated the idea of having to remember like who I was. So I
Mhm.
decided I was just going to be me, as if there
Yeah.
was no filter. Like as if
Yeah.
my parents didn't exist around me, as if like there was no controls and this is just me as is, raw,
Yeah.
because I hate having to remember things. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing too. Like, in the beginning, I don't really talk about my personal life much online. Um, but I do talk about it more than I did in the beginning. In the beginning, I was kind of very like, there's nothing personal coming out. It's just, this is Sunny and, she's just happy and loves to write erotica and has a daddy kink. so, so that's just what it was. But as like the time has went over, more of me has come out. Um, but because I feel more comfortable, I don't feel as embarrassed about it. And I mean, I get like I'm in a different situation than some people. I don't have a career anymore that I'm going to. So it makes it a little easier not to have to worry about losing my job or being judged at my job. Um, so
you just
I
don't tell
get,
people it's your job what you do.
right. Well, I mean, still, people can find you, obviously, if you're
Yeah, I know
online.
we did the thing and figured that out, but
Yeah.
I'm not a
So,
teacher, so that makes it better. There's no morality clauses in my contract.
right. Yeah. So it's, but yeah, I mean, I get like why people will keep themselves hidden for privacy issues. And I mean, and there are issues where people,
Stop.
yeah, you can have some pretty crazy situations.
Right.
And so I get why people want to protect themselves. And I support that completely. I just was at the
Absolutely.
point where I didn't care anymore. I was like, I don't, nobody's paying my bills. I don't care. This is
What do
me.
you think changed between us in 2024 versus us in 2012 when we first ventured out as our original pen names into erotica? Because I think it was about 12, maybe 13 that we first started the Temptation Tuesday series.
Yeah. I think maybe it was that we were still writing a lot for our own pen names or
Our
for our real life
names.
selves. Yeah, our names and putting ourselves out there. And this just kind of felt like, I don't know,
And we were
extra.
advertising it too as our name, as us, you
Yeah.
know. And we're
Yeah.
here, we're not advertising our real name, so whatever we say is Sunny or Skylar.
Right. I think I think that's really what it is. It's more of a privacy, um, and not having to, even though like they see us and we're on there, we are still, there's still that kind of like that little bit of protection because it's not your name. And it,
Do you have any of your real life people on any of your stuff?
no.
I mean, I just
No,
have.
yes, I do. I do. Yeah, I do.
Did that change once you added that
Um,
person? Did it change how you did things?
no. No, because they're only on one platform. They're not on all of my platforms. So, no.
Yeah, because I only have them on TikTok.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
the
I guess
only place.
the guys are on Twitter.
Yeah.
They don't say anything.
I mean, I had people on Twitter, but I decided that they were not a good fit for me to have on Twitter. So I blocked them. And just because it was just something that was not a good fit.
Yeah.
And but on TikTok, I do have um two people, and it's fine. I mean, it doesn't bother me.
When my son retweets our stuff or what is it? Repost? Is it posting
Yeah.
on
Oh
TikTok?
yeah, I forgot. I forgot I do have him too.
When my son reposts our stuff, my husband's always like, "Why is he doing this?" And I'm like, "Because he has a bigger following than me, and he's helping us out." He's like, "Do you know how weird this is?"
It's so
Aaron
yeah.
doesn't care; he just does the life. He's living
Yeah.
his best life, supporting his mom.
Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, I have him, so that is the other person too. But
Yeah,
but he knows what we do.
right.
So
Well, and then because I have Laura on my stuff, and she doesn't care, and she
mhm,
doesn't judge, and so
right.
that's different. Whereas, like, I feel if there were other people in my life, they would judge,
Yeah,
you know,
I do too. Yeah.
and that's the hard part is getting past that stigma.
Yeah.
And I just don't think a lot of people who don't live this life by either voraciously reading it or writing it, I don't think they get,
Yeah.
you know,
That it's not a horrible thing that
it's
people
not.
I mean, I feel like we making sex taboo is just insane to me, and I feel like that's what that does.
It
And
does. I
so
think it
and
confuses so many people, like confuses the younger population. Like, are you not supposed to enjoy things? Just all sorts of stuff.
right, and if you have certain, like, kinks or things like that's supposed to be hidden or weird, and that's just not the case. Everybody's different, and, um, I I don't know. I feel like as I've gotten older, I feel more confident in myself, so I think that's part of the difference too, where I don't care. Because now when I go out and somebody asks me what I do, I tell them what I do,
I write adult
and
fiction.
yeah, and I mean, I get sometimes "Oh," they're excited, and then sometimes
They're like,
they're
oh.
just like, "Okay," and move on to a different topic. But, um, so I'm just I don't know, I feel like it's something we have to normalize a little bit. Um,
Especially considering that I feel like the rest of the world doesn't feel this way. I feel like this is just an American issue. I feel like the rest of the
yeah,
world is way more chill about sexuality.
yeah,
And it's not
yeah,
as driving factor of like, oh my God, can you believe it?
yeah. It's maybe I mean, it could be, I don't know. On my TikTok, Lord, I've been seeing all kinds of people pop up, and they're from different countries, and it just amazes me at, like, all of the freedom that they have, and of what they do. And these are people who are doing way more than we're doing. And so
Because I
I'm
don't think what
just
we're doing is really like that bad.
right, when I don't think what they're doing is bad. Um, I think when you're an adult and you make these choices, these are choices that you're making. And, if you're being safe, I don't for me, it doesn't I don't care what you're doing. Um, But yeah, maybe it is just America has more issues with it than other
Uh,
countries.
it feels very like overblown and kind of overkill. And I just don't, we can't be like that. We got to be more open and accepting. But
Yeah.
so how did your family take the news of your new venture?
Um, my mom was fine with it. She was completely fine. She's just like, whatever, if you're gonna make money. I mean, she would rather me write something else. I mean, she liked my other stories more. She didn't really want to read
Did
these
she
stories.
read these stories?
No, I wouldn't let her read them.
Okay.
I was like, no, I would not let her read them. No. Um, she would have probably been like, "Oh my god."
How would
I
she
didn't.
feel about you discussing her nipple suggestions?
Oh, she would think that was funny. She would think that was
This is
hilarious.
hilarious.
Yeah. And I mean, and she like always read these things. I remember when I was young, she would have these magazines and they were like true romance or true love. I don't remember the stories, but they would be like these dirty little stories in magazines that she would read all the time. And I would go read them not knowing what they were and like intrigued by them as I was young. So, I mean, she's kind of the reason. It's all her fault. She introduced me to it without knowing she introduced me to it.
My
'Cause
great aunt introduced me to it, but she knew what she was doing.
yeah,
She handed me the book. She's like, "These are for you. You will enjoy them. Doesn't matter that you're only 15."
yeah. I mean, I was really young. Like, I was probably grade school, and
Oh my
so
gosh.
I mean, she would have had a fit if she knew that I read
She
these.
would have had a cow.
Yeah, she knew that I was reading these magazines that were in her drawer in her bedroom. She would have been so upset.
They're in
But
there for a reason.
yeah, exactly. Why are you in my drawer? Um, but yeah. Um, and I totally forgot about those until like we were talking. I forgot that she had those stories. But yeah, she did. It's all her.
Well, I don't think like my mom thinks it's hilarious. Like she loves it. She doesn't want to read it, but she wants to know like all my sales rankings. She wants to know every time I sell a book. She's like all in. My brother, same way. Like he thinks it's great. He's so encouraging. Well, one brother. I don't know about the other brother. He doesn't know.
Right.
And my dad is still the same way as he was when I was
Yeah.
writing that vampire porn. He just wishes I was
Yeah.
making money somewhere else. And then there's
Yeah.
my grandpa, who is so proud of us for
I
all the
know.
money
I
we're
love
selling. It's just
I
like,
know. I love that he like thinks it's great that we're doing this.
right, we're
I
going
think it's hilarious.
senile. We can't always remember names, but we remember that your granddaughter is selling sex books
Exactly. Yeah.
and is proud of her and her friend.
Yeah. I mean,
Like it's too funny.
it is funny, and it is funny like how as people like the age difference who like has issues with it and who doesn't. Because like my mom, I think she would have had more of an issue if she was younger when I was
But
doing
your
it.
mom wasn't that old when she passed away.
No, I mean she was 70.
I guess she was older than I thought she was. I thought she was
Yeah.
younger more in the 60s.
Well, she would have been 70. Well, she wasn't quite so. She would have been 70 like a couple months later. But so yeah, I mean, but she wasn't like mentally she was not 70 year old. Like she was very young.
Yeah.
With her mind. She was funny and wanted all of the newest gadgets. So she was never somebody who was going like her age didn't like stop her from wanting things. But she when I was younger and she was when we first started, she didn't overly like Blood Myth because of the graphic sex scenes that were in it. That was not
It's a little graphic, but it was excellent read.
yeah, I mean she did so that she was not like she liked the mythology part of it, she liked the different things, but she didn't overly like that. But as she went on, it wasn't something she wanted to read, but she didn't care. She didn't care what I was writing. She was just like, but every once in a while she would be like, "Can't you write like one of your witches stories again and so you can make money off of it?" And I'm like, It doesn't make the same money, Mom. It's not the same.
You know, I would say my dad was way more supportive when they hadn't read any of the stuff. Because you
Yeah.
remember, like, we all went to dinner when the first book came out, and then I let my stepmom read Blood Yellow because I wanted help with the editing. And that's when it all went to hell.
Yeah, because I mean, well, he was still a little judgy because when I was sitting
Oh,
next to
look.
your dad at dinner, and so we were having the conversation about it, and so he was still a little bit, maybe not as much as he is
Not as
now.
not much until old stepmom read me carving some initials and some ball sacks. So, and
Yeah,
like,
well,
you need some therapy. Like, this
that
is for therapy.
I mean, that might be a trigger for lots of men. So,
Maybe.
so maybe that was the issue, is that it
Maybe.
was, yeah. So I don't know.
Even my other grandpa, like, before he died, I mean, he was still so proud and didn't care,
Yeah.
and he just wanted me to write something about some Irish love before I was done. But,
Yeah.
so maybe it is like the older generations, but just not giving a shit anymore.
Yeah.
But even
I
so,
mean,
like, my husband doesn't care. My son thinks it's hilarious. Like, he comes in all the
Yeah.
time. He's like, "What are you writing about today, Mom?" I'm like, "Do you really want me to tell you?" "No, I'm just being nice."
yeah. Yeah. It's,
My daughter
yeah.
too. She loves it, and she's read some of them. So,
Yeah.
which is weird to me, but whatever.
I mean, it is what it is. So I mean, I don't know. It's just how far we've come from hiding what we did to pretty much letting
And
the
you know
world
what,
know.
though? We are so much more successful now being, I feel like we're more authentic as Sunny and Skylar, and we are more successful now than as our actual selves
Yeah.
in what we were doing. And so maybe that freedom comes success in some ways,
Yeah.
or maybe our not being ashamed or scared or timid. Maybe that helps it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's part of it. It's also like I had a hard time, even as with my real name, when I wrote different stories, to advertise myself, like market myself. I had
Yeah,
a really hard time doing
you
that.
did.
So because I don't know, it felt like a whole imposter syndrome thing. I don't know. I just felt weird about it. So doing it
You
as,
feel less imposter as Sunny?
yeah,
It's hilarious.
I know.
I
It is.
feel more of it as Skylar.
Yeah, no, because Sunny is more me, and I don't care um as much. Like, if it fails, it fails. If I have to change my pen name and go and try something new, I gotta change my pen name and try something new. My other name, I can't change my name. So it's
Right,
me. It's who it
right.
is. So if it fails, it fails. And I mean, like, I don't have to have everybody in my life from everywhere knowing what I do. They don't all follow me. They don't all so it makes, when it was me, like, everybody you've known from the time you're in grade school is now
New.
following you and wanting to know, like, where you're at, and if you're not doing something, like, or if you're not a bestseller yet, or you're not this, or you're not, it's like you feel that judgment. And
Right.
I don't really with Sunny, because not, while I don't hide it, and a lot of people do know, it's not as known
Because we're
as,
also not posting it on our real pages.
right,
And we're not doing anything like that.
right. So I mean, it's a little more freeing to advertise and market myself um, as Sunny. And I feel
I
closer to
find it
her.
really
Mhm. I feel really close to
that
Sunny.
you feel closer to Sunny than to yourself.
No, I'm saying, like, I feel close to Sunny as in, like, it feels really a lot like me, and finding, like, a part that I had been missing for a long time. So
Well, yeah, that
it's,
makes sense. I can agree with that.
yeah. So it's helped me, like, get that piece back that as you work and go through
I mean,
life.
that's how you sold me on this. You're like, you
Yeah.
need this. It'll bring back what you're missing. I mean, that's how you sold me on
Yeah.
taking the dive into it all.
Yeah. Because it was such a big, I don't know, it felt different this time, and doing it gave me a sense of peace that I was missing, or some, I don't really know how to explain it, but or some joy that I was missing, something that was gone. Um, and it was based on 18-year-old Sunny. Or anyway, just my name there, but it's just based on 18-year-old me. So
That's
it's,
funny.
yeah, Jesus. It's just based on 18-year-old me. And
I
then
don't know how
like
to edit,
growing.
so keep the right names on.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's fine. I mean, at this point, whatever. Uh, but
But
yeah,
you know,
so
like with it all, though, when you have like the 18-year-old version of yourself, the unfiltered version, or however it may be, like when you're marketing, do you think about what you would do at that age, or do you just now market freely? And like when you're making these posts, when you're making the persona, like do you think about that now, or is that only something you thought about at the beginning?
it's really only something I thought about at the beginning. Now it's just more because they've kind of like Sunny has kind of intertwined with me. Like I've become that like mixture of the both. And so it's, God, this is gonna sound like I have multiple personalities. Just like people
Every
are gonna be
author will
like,
understand this problem.
Sunny needs help. But no, I mean it is kind of like they've kind of just merged. And
I get
so
that.
now like things are more, I think, more authentic, my post. In the beginning, I feel like I might have tried a little harder to be that person that I was then. And so now it's just kind of like a mix of like, I think it's just more authentic now.
I find myself now, as opposed to a year and a half ago, self censoring because I want to stay the person I was a year and a half ago and less of like how I might actually be feeling in real life.
Right.
And so I find myself self censoring in that because I like who Skylar is and I want to keep Skylar who Skylar is. That means I can't let all that other stuff come in, right? And so I have
Yeah.
found it helps me compartmentalize, which I've never really been able to do. And it's
Yeah.
always been like one of my biggest struggles in like just real life living is compartmentalizing. And so this has actually given me like a weird tool to like shut it off. And
Yeah.
like, and I know like when I have my Twitter open or when I have these, like none of that other stuff is just all about like what would Skylar say or post and staying on that brand because that's what I
Yeah.
want.
Yeah. I mean, I do feel like that's true. Because like I'm not gonna post religious things. I'm not gonna post
Right.
political things. It doesn't mean that I don't have opinions about both. I am not posting those because that's just not
Right.
funny. Um, and
Well,
and I'm doing
it's
this
not, and it
for,
doesn't belong in a business.
right. It's not, I don't find it professional, but that's just,
I
that's
agree.
my opinion. Everybody has their own. I want to stay on like being happy and positive, and because religion and politics can be negative, and I don't
Can be.
I don't I know. And I don't want that in my like in my whole like, cuz this little bubble that I have as Sunny is a happy place for me to go to. And
Yep.
so I want to keep it happy. So I don't do that. And that's why I also like because there's always little dramas and things, I really try to stay out of those. And doesn't mean that I don't get dragged in, but I try to stay out because it's doesn't, in the long run, it doesn't matter. Like
And
it's
I
just
think
silly.
you and I think that way because we look at it more as the business aspect of it as
Yeah.
opposed to like a hobby or just something we're doing. And I think our names being removed help remind us of that.
Yes, it does. Because I think of Sunny, even though she is becoming more of like we're more integrated, I still think of her as a brand.
Right.
And so and I try to keep her brand on track because this is why people
Like
like
us.
her, and this is why I like her. And so I want to keep that. But I mean, I hate kind of saying that because it makes it seem like, you know, Sunny's not like a person, but it is still me. It's just,
Well, we are persons, but we are all also businesses in it
yeah,
too. And
yeah,
it's not just, and because we're so intertwined too, like you and I have to also think about like how this affects the other person,
right.
because we have the crush
Yeah,
stuff growing, and we have worked very hard as a partnership to be a partnership in public as well
yeah,
as in the like the behind the scenes. So I always think about like if I do this, or if there's going to be negative effect, or just things like that.
yeah,
And I think that again, that all has helped me learn how to compartmentalize, and I can come in to not my office, but where I work here, and shut it off, and I can feel better as being Skylar. And working
yeah,
on the Sunny Skylar business stuff makes it better for me in my real life. And so
yeah.
I
And
think we're very much real people, even though we're fake people.
right. I mean, it is a, yeah, like we said before, it is, they are us. We just have to keep certain things because it is a business, like
Yep.
private. And, um, and I don't think like, I don't honestly feel that on a public platform, our readers want to hear about all of our
I don't want to hear about it as
stuff.
a reader. It
Yeah.
has
I mean,
turned
they
me
don't,
off from authors I've loved, and I don't
yeah.
want to
So
hear about it.
I just don't think that, I think it separates people too. And it separates your readership. It separates, your followers. And I don't want that. I mean, there's, I'm
Exactly.
not going to do that. Everybody has their own like belief system, and that's fine. You're free to have it as long as it doesn't infringe upon my civil liberties.
That's all
I
I
gotta
care
let
about.
I gotta let it go, and I try
Mhm.
not to infringe on anybody else's. And I won't support somebody infringing on somebody else's. Um, but I'm not gonna make big statements about things on that space.
Right.
On but so
And I think before I would have.
yeah,
Because I think about like my blog that I had before, and my blog was really successful. I did really, really well on my blog. I had so many, I mean, I had hundreds and thousands of clicks, and
yeah,
I would have done a lot of blog posts
you would have,
in the last 12 months. And
you would have,
I almost wrote one Wednesday. I almost did. But I stopped and I thought about it, and I was just like, no, because this isn't just about Skylar. It's about us. It's a
right?
partnership. And
Yeah,
I didn't. And so, and it made me kind of like think about like kind of how far I've come to as a professional in this professional industry. You
yeah,
know, because again, like you said, like I don't think our readers want, I don't think our readers care. And I think like especially on like Medium, it would have been a post that was boostable. It would have been a post that got clicks. It would have been a post that got interactions, and I would have made
yeah,
money on it. But that is not who I want Skylar to be,
yeah,
because
exactly.
I'm not a happier person like that.
Yeah,
And so I think it's done a lot of good for my mental health being Skylar.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, because sometimes when we're putting out all of that negativity and stuff, it's just, it weighs on you,
It
and
does.
it's like exhausting. And I just don't like, I don't understand it. Like, I don't understand how people like get excited about it or want to put it out. Like, I don't get that. Like, and I see so much on social media, and I kind of try to mute out people,
The
so
mute
I
button
don't
does not
see it.
work.
I know. I do my best to mute some people so I don't have to like see a lot of
Yeah.
it, because it's just, I don't want to see it, especially when I'm on Sunny. I don't want to see that. Sunny is my
Right.
safe, happy space, and I want to be happy and safe there. And I want everybody, like, I want to portray that. So I I
I
try to
work very
mute.
hard to keep my Twitter timeline full of football.
Of
Because
course you do.
and authors. That is all I
Yes.
care about.
Yeah.
That is all Skylar wants to focus on.
Yeah. Yep.
Erotica and pigskins. That's it.
Yeah.
I really fucked it up with the Olympics. That's
Oh
taken
well.
forever to get that out of my feed. But
Yeah. It's
so
just, yeah. So I mean, I don't want to put the other stuff in there, but
yeah. But I think it's interesting like how people apply the logic and do it and see, and I do think it has really contributed to our success this time,
yeah.
12 years later, you
Yeah.
know, with these names. And I will say, for the record, if we ever have to switch names, I'm the one that gets to pick them next time.
Why?
Because mine are not my initials. Damn it.
Uh-huh. Well, I was going for a theme.
I know. I love
Sunny
the
and
theme.
sky, the sunny
I
skies.
love the theme.
I was going for
I
a
love the
theme.
theme.
And Quinn was because of your daughter.
I know, and she loves that. So, you know. But yeah, I know. I think it's great. And I think that we are on the right path to keep that going. And I wish more people in our circle would do that.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean,
It's
we can
teach their
only do
own.
what we do. Yeah.
Yep.
And
But I do think I've come a long way because old me definitely would have had a lot of medium boostable posts by now.
yeah, old you would have been saying a lot. And
Old me would have, yes. And you would have done a lot of eye rolls. I know.
yeah.
So we've come a long way.
Yeah. But that's good. I mean, we've grown.
But that's what you're supposed to do, right? As you mature and get older and wiser. So
yeah.
I guess all them classes and readings paid off.
Growing in our business. Yeah.
Yes. And and I think the other part as Sunny and Skylar, we're able to really take a step back and look at what our old names did wrong.
Yeah.
And it's almost like we are two different people.
Right.
Because when we look back at what we did, oh, we shouldn't have done this, or we did this, and we didn't pay attention, or we didn't follow the lessons that we were taught in the classes, and it's easy to separate.
Yeah. And I mean, it's so funny too, because now we really follow those lessons that we were taught.
We do.
It
pays
makes
off.
me laugh. It does. Because it's, some of the things, yeah, you have to tweak now because, things have changed, but a lot of it is the same. And it's just so funny that
and even the stuff that is changing, even the stuff that does change, like the keyword issues or all these different things, if you still stick to the core of what Liliana Hart taught us that day, we would have been leaps and bounds ahead of where we are now.
Yeah.
Had we just done what she said 10 years ago, 12 years ago, however long it was.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing that it still holds true.
It does. It does.
It's almost worth, not really, but making new names just to test and see if we can do it again. Just to see. I don't have the time for that.
God.
But it's kind of like a curiosity thing,
Yeah. I mean, I've thought about it, but yeah.
Well, and the question also is curious is, would this strategy work with traditional, contemporary romance? Or is it working because it's erotica?
Well, I mean, I think the consistency part, weekly publishing would not be possible with traditional.
Well, no, because those aren't novellas, those aren't shorts, those are 50 plus.
Yeah, so that
and we have lives. So I mean that's not possible.
Yeah, so right. So I don't think that part would work. But I mean, still consistency if you were able to publish monthly, a 40,000.
So do you think we could have done what we're doing now, success wise, not content wise and frequency,
right.
But had we done it, do you think we would have had the success had we published one new novel every month, like she told us to do?
Well, she also told us to have a series finished.
I know we should have, and
before we publish anything. And
it was wise advice. That's probably the best advice we ignored.
Yeah, it was the best. But and hers were erotic shorts. She did novellas or novelettes for her one series that blew up. It was erotica.
Right.
But
that's what I'm asking. Do you think if we would have done it as our old selves, it would have worked monthly? Because when I look at Nora Roberts or Tammy Hogue or Catherine Coulter, they are not monthly publishing.
No, I mean, but they don't need to be.
They don't need to be. You're right.
They don't. I mean, when you're an indie author and people don't know you.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to keep showing up somewhere in the algorithms. So, I mean, I think you would have to put out books more, um, just to get that following. Um,
It'd
I
just
don't
be an
know.
interesting experiment. Like if you had an
Yeah.
extra 40 hours a week of nothing to do.
Yeah. Um,
Or to all you
I
new writers
couldn't
who
do
have
it.
not
I couldn't
published
do it
yet.
as my real name though. Like I would still have to be somebody else because
I
that's
think
just
being
for me
somebody
for
else is
marketing.
very helpful. It is
Yeah.
very helpful.
Yeah.
And it's so weird, like in person, like saying I'm Skylar. Like it's odd. And it'll be a lot easier when all the old books are gone. And I don't
Yeah.
have to like see my old name, like whose name am I writing now?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I mean, I'm pretty lucky. Mine kind of are pretty much
I
the
know.
same.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I'm
um,
aware.
yeah. Sometimes I get confused and I'm signing something and I'll sign my Sonny's name
That's funny.
instead. I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? But yeah.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah. So,
So this was very interesting. Just like looking back, seeing how we've changed in our own personalities from these personalities and how they
yeah,
intertwine. Like it's a good look back.
it is. Yeah.
And it's fun to see like where we might be in 10 years. Like where do
Yeah.
you want us to be in 10 years with curiosity?
Um, well, I don't want to write every week. I don't want to do that every week. I don't want to publish a book every week. I would much rather be mentoring other people to do what we do. So I'd like to be on that
Right.
level where we can do mentorships.
So move to
And
monthly publishing then?
yeah, and so yeah, I would like to be able to,
I mean, that's
yeah,
part of our long-term goals.
yeah, and doing like putting on events. I would like to, with our virtual eroticon, I would like it to be an eroticon that's live. So
And I
just
see,
different.
I still think that's going to be an issue because there's still going to be people because you have the women who write as men, the men who write as women,
I
and they're
know
still going to have that shunning thing. And so I still think there's a home for us to keep virtual and add an in person.
we can add, but we can have both. But I
I think
do
we should
think
have
that it
both.
would
I don't think we
be.
should wipe virtual off
But
completely
yeah,
because I
I mean,
think
I
we'll
would
miss
just
it.
like I would want it to, I want to
I
have
want our
like
theme park.
those. Yeah, I know. But see, like the way I see our live events is like I see it as there would be um different booths where there's different displays and people doing different things, and like it's not just authors with their books. Like there would be a lot of interactive like things happening is the way I see it.
If we allowed
Um
masks, I bet we could get more people. You could hide your face.
yeah. I mean, we could do well, I don't know how that would work with safety, what
I
you
don't
would
know.
have to do.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like
I have no
I mean,
idea.
maybe once you're in, you could wear the mask, but like there has to be some sort of checks and balances getting in
There has to
because the
be.
mask can kind of like, I don't know, can kind of make it a little sketchy. So maybe once there's like, depending on how we have it set up, because you could have like this room where people check in and then like
Yeah.
IDs are checked, things are done, and then you can put on a mask before you go into the actual room.
Right.
So
One way to
I
do
don't
it.
know. I think it would be great to do
I think it'd
something
be
like
great.
that.
One of the best events that I ever went to was in Dallas. It was doing dirty in Dallas or something dirty, and they were giving out like peanut suckers, and it was hilarious. And everybody was having it was nothing but like smutty authors
Yeah.
and smutty readers, and it was fabulous. And everybody was just so open and free and laughing. This was, I think, in 2020, December of 2020. I think I have to go back and look at pictures, but it was a blast. I would
Yeah.
love to have that event back, but they have so much fun in person. And just
Yeah.
like think about when we went to Vegas and that night, the ball night, like,
Mhm.
and you had like the guys like just half naked running around. We had so much fun.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I would want it to be something that is like that is just not just tables of authors, which I think that is
right.
great and that's fun. But I would want I just want this to be bigger when it does happen, and that's why, and it will happen.
It will
Um,
happen. It's a matter of
um,
when.
yeah, where it is just so much fun that people are wanting to go and wanting to pay, and we're not like trying to like drag readers off the streets to go and see. Like they're wanting to be there.
Oh,
And
the New Orleans
I
podcast.
mean, almost like, a Comic-Con or something, but
Right.
smaller.
An erotica.
Well, yeah, and there are eroticons. There
Yeah.
are these different. So, I mean, just something like that, but a little more intimate, not quite like as big, but definitely fun. And maybe there's a theme. Maybe it's a masquerade. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I have my notebook. We can put it on the plan for
Yeah.
2034.
Oh, I want it before then. I'm just saying.
Oh, I said the 10-year plan. Like,
I know,
10-year plan.
but the 10 years is what we're reaping the rewards of all of these things happening in the 10
We're
years.
just making continuous plans. Okay.
Yes, we're
maybe,
just directing
maybe the 6th
stuff
year. Maybe
out.
like year 6. Maybe year 6.
Yeah. We're just directing things out. We're not like having to
Gotcha.
be on every panel, on every like thing, and on every we're not having to do all that.
Right.
We
have a team at that point. It's not just you and me.
Yeah. Yeah. Which means you have to
That'll
trust
be good.
people.
Well, I'm the one with trust issues.
When it comes to people in our business, yes, you are.
Really? You would expand our trust net, our circle? Who would you add now? Nobody. That's right. We've had the conversation.
I know. I mean, I don't know. It depends who I would add. I don't know. On what it was.
Working at it for so long. Like, it's hard to think about like opening our arms to other people.
Right. Yeah. It is. It is.
Because it's not just a friendship, it's a family, it's a sisterhood, it's a partnership, it's a life partnership. Like, there's so much entwined with this. It's like inviting somebody into our family.
Right. No, I get it. It would have to be somebody special, and that would really make sense. But
and see our visions.
Yeah.
Without us having to spoon feed it.
Right.
Spoon feed it. My God, I can't talk.
I mean, at this point in time, I don't think we're ready or we need that.
We're not.
But we will need
one day. Well, we will, yes. I mean, we might need help with the next Eroticon with volunteers. Who knows?
Yeah.
It was a lot this year. So.
Yeah, it was. But we did it. And this year is going to be even bigger. So.
But this was good. I like when we look back and think about what we've done and just to see the growth. Because I think you always have to like stop and think about like what you came from to show that like you might be struggling now, but 10 years ago, you weren't even at this point. Right. You know?
Yeah.
Or even not just even 10 years, 5, 4, a year ago, like how much has been accomplished. You know, so I always think it's good to rejoice in these successes when we can.
It is. And I mean, and we took like a huge break. So
we took a huge break.
So I mean, us 10 years later getting here is our fault. Yeah, I mean,
right. But Stephen King was right. It takes 10 years. Because I think you have to learn. And then, like, it's kind of like when you have those people who have, like, the one-hit wonder books, I don't think they did their time. So they didn't really learn. They got immediate reward and then just kind of missed it.
Yeah.
Because they didn't learn. They just got lucky. And so we are now lucky. We have blood, sweat, and tears into it. No. And earned where we're at. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And are still learning. I mean, we realize we have to
every day too. Every day.
We know, like, we don't know everything even close to it. We don't want to try to think we do. So that's the thing. We're willing to learn, and we keep trying to
adjust.
Learn. Yeah. Yeah.
And for someone who likes things a certain way, it's very hard to have to pivot so much. But I'm much better pivoting as Skylar than I am as myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
as my real life
we have to pivot all the time because we're dependent.
Every month is a new pivot.
Yeah, because we're dependent on other platforms to host our stories, and so we have to like go with whatever they're doing. And
not just that though. I mean, you got to think about it. We're also dependent on not just each other, but our whole community. So sometimes it's having to refrain from speaking, or even sometimes speaking out, or we have to pivot there too. It's not
Yeah.
just like where we sell our stuff. It's
Yeah.
also like how we market and finding new ways to market. There's so
Yep.
many pivots. And
Yeah.
keeping track of all of it is a full-time job.
And trying something new all the time. Like, we're always trying something. Like, we don't feel like we stay in the same place with what we try to do to market, because if we're not learning, then what are we doing? We're never going to grow.
Exactly.
So
Never. You cannot grow without learning. And you also have to have patience, because what you do 6 months ago is what's helping you today.
yeah.
And so it's just like you have to like play the game.
And that's hard
stay
sometimes
steadfast.
to see, like, putting all of this work in and not seeing the results right away, but you have to trust the process.
You have to.
And yeah, and that's hard. And you got to have a thick skin too, because you're going to have people say all kinds of crap about you. And so you just have to have a thick skin. And that's probably
easier without our real names attached.
Yeah, exactly. It is a lot easier because I can just, put that over there. That's Sunny that they don't like, and I don't really care. Sunny's cool. She don't
Exactly.
care.
Exactly.
She don't care. So yeah.
Well, all right. This was a good one.
Yeah, it was.
This flew by.
It did. It did. Definitely.
Do you want to talk about our sponsor one more time?
Yes. Today's sponsor is Ranch Hand, and you can find him on Amazon. He has his Violations out. He's also part of the Crushed series, and you can find all of those short stories on Amazon. And most of his stuff is in KU, so you can do that as well.
And don't forget to subscribe and follow us online. You can find us on all of our social media profiles under Crush Pub, and check out our website, Crush Publications.
Thank you for joining us today on Crushcast.
Be sure to follow us so you can catch our next episode in 2 weeks.
Thanks to our sponsor this week and to all of you for listening.
Peace, love, and crush on.